Heyo, Ben here, and welcome back to my election prediction video. I completely forgot to put Virginia back up there, and Maine. So yeah, we're gonna be doing this again, and I actually added a state from last time. Uh, we're just gonna no. There we go. Sorry about that. I forgot to put some states in play. These are states I think will be in play that are in play in most reasonable outcomes of this election. Um, Basically, you start off pretty much equal. Um, I'm gonna base. I almost want to move New Mexico into safe, but Gary Johnson could have a very significant effect, so I'm going to put it as likely. Just same thing in Utah, actually. So it winds up working to each party technically starts out equal. Both Clinton and Trump start off equal, but the Gary Johnson effect could have an effect. And I've seen some ads for him recently, which is kind of interesting. Washington State, I'm moving into the likely column. I had moved it back into the safe column, but apparently either the Trump campaign has some good numbers there or in their internal polling or something, because he actually held some campaign events in Washington State. So there is potential. It wasn't even in the red part of the state up near Spokane and Walla Walla. It was in Everett, which is near Seattle. Oregon, I almost want to lean it red, but it's still a lean blue at the moment because I just don't see him picking up enough support in the college town of Eugene. I just don't. And that's the only way, either that or closing the gap significantly in the Portland area. That's the only way I see him winning the state. It could happen, and I think in the future it may actually start happening, but I don't think it will happen just yet. Um, Nevada, like I said, I think it's going to lean Trump this year simply because Washoe County, of course, where Reno is heavily in his favor in the most recent polls I can see. And not only that, but Clinton has been polling very poorly in the state. Um, I think that she could win it. I'm not saying Clinton can't, but it's one of the states that she's oddly been polling very poorly in. Or not oddly, but it's one of the states she's been polling poorly in, even in Trump's worst weeks. And you have to remember, Trump has had quite a few really good weeks in a row. If he can keep up this pace or even slightly below this pace, he's probably going to win. Arizona, I think that if he's winning in Nevada, he's winning in Arizona. And that's kind of backed up by the facts that, hey, Nevada went blue before. Yeah, Nevada went blue, basically, is the point. Um, Colorado, I can't remember, but IPSOS polling has shown it in the lean as opposed to where everybody else has had it, which is a borderline lean to likely. So I think it's a little bit redder than, say, New Mexico or Oregon, but not too much. I think it's going to lean blue. Just like I'm going to put this is lean red, just because I don't see a realistic way for Clinton to win that electoral vote right now. Just like Missouri, I'm going to put as likely, though it's borderline. It's probably going to be like a 5 to 6% win for Trump, maybe more, perhaps less. Iowa, his is the other state that Hillary's been polling extremely poorly in. And I even saw one where Trump was leading by 5 just recently, and this was from, it was either Emerson or Monmouth. Monmouth. Mississippi, it's borderline safe, but it's still going to be close enough where it's likely, and that's partially because of this area along the Mississippi River. Georgia, very similar boat, except it's going to be a little bit closer. It's going to be like a 5 to 8% win for Trump. I don't really think that that's going to. I don't think that that's going to change at all. New Jersey, I'm very tempted to move it into the safe column, but until I get a poll from there, I have to go with the polls I've seen. But again, I'm still going past behavior, and so that's a likely. Connecticut, I still have not seen anything to change my views that it's a lean or a likely. I don't understand why it's polling like it is, and until I see new polls, I'm going to have to stick with this. Maine is interesting. Polls show it tied or very close. So I'm going to lean these 3, and there we go. And that's the main thing. And then New Hampshire, I think, is going to lean Trump, because it's kind of like, if Trump wins this vote in Maine, he probably won this New Hampshire. North Carolina is going to lean red. I know a lot of polls have shown Hillary ahead, but I've also, you have to remember that this week hasn't been polled yet. And like I said, Trump had quite a few really good weeks in a row, and he's basically brought this back into a statistical tie nationally, including a few polls where he's ahead. And I'm not just talking like the LA Times Daybreak or Rasmussen. I've seen a few that showed him in an actual tie or a statistical tie. And if he's within 1 percentage point, chances are he's going to win the election. Which I know sounds weird, but I think this year is going to be a year where the winner of the popular vote doesn't necessarily win the election. If Clinton's winning popular vote by 2 to 3%, she wins the election. If she's winning it by 1%, depending on where that 1% gap is, she could very well lose. Trump, on the other hand, if he's winning the popular vote, he's winning the election, period. Unless there's something really weird going on. Now we have the big ones. Minnesota, I know I've had it safe, but I'm putting, or likely, but I'm going to keep it as likely. I don't remember where I had Wisconsin, but it's definitely leaning, because I've seen quite a few polls showing it within the margin of error recently, despite the past few weeks showing it. With the double-digit Clinton lead, and of course I'm not going to discount the IPSOS polling or Reuters, where they showed Trump leading in Wisconsin by 3. Michigan is another one where they show Trump leading. He actually gained in their polling, but I'm not sure. I think at this point Michigan's going to be a true toss-up. I'm still going to lean at Clinton because of past behavior. Ohio is leaning Trump. And like I said, the election has definitely swung back in his favor. Virginia, I've seen quite a few polls showing it extremely close. I'm still going to lean at Clinton, though I will say I'm on a college campus, and one of the more liberal college campuses in the state, and I've seen quite a few Trump stickers, and I've seen a Johnson sticker. I've seen a Bernie sticker, but I've seen 0 support for Hillary, which kind of surprises me. Now, sure, I'm in one of the more traditionally conservative studies, which is economics, Um, but still, the economics and business side of things. But uh, that still can't be discounted. Now, sure, that's going to be anecdotal evidence, but a lot of this area, I've seen a surprising amount of Trump support across the state because I've lived in basically the three regions of the state. I've lived in for about the past year and a half. I had been living in the DC area, and I saw a surprising amount of Trump support up there. Um, and in the historic Triangle area, I saw a decent amount of support as well, which kind of surprised me. As a matter of fact, it was growing support because I saw quite a few signs and stickers get added. Um, and now I'm living in the more, I'll admit it, the more rednecky part of the state, the Appalachia part of the state. Um, and this is where I've seen the absolute most Trump support. But that's to be expected. This is the part of the state that would have overwhelmingly voted for any Republican. Um, it's kind of like if Jesus had the Democrat moniker by his name, they probably wouldn't vote for him. No, this is the Bible Belt. They would vote for Jesus even if he was a Democrat. But yeah, so take that with a grain of salt. But I am in one of the Western Virginia counties that did vote blue last time around, because it's technically not a county. I'm actually in an independent city, which is one of the weird things Virginia has. It has counties in it, and it has independent cities. Pennsylvania and Florida, these are the two states where the election's probably going to be decided. I think I've seen Pennsylvania polls showing Trump up by 6, up by 5, down by 3, down by 6. I think Pennsylvania is going to be a true toss-up, and I don't know how to call it. I'm still going to call it blue this week. But I think Florida is going to lean red right now. So that's where I think the election stands today. And it'll probably change by next week. And on Tuesday, I think, is when we're going to find out who's going to get invited to the debates. I'm really crossing my fingers that Johnson's going to be allowed into the debates, but I'm not counting my chickens before they hatch. Because honestly, against Johnson would beat Clinton in a one-on-one debate. I can guarantee that. He's got positions that align with the vast majority of Americans, believe it or not. And that's the thing. Most Americans agree with at least the most broadly known tenets of libertarianism. For example, most people will agree that, hey, marijuana should probably be legalized. Let people marry who the hell they want. Let's make sure our government is financially responsible. Let's not get into any stupid wars. Let's just let people live their lives as how they see fit. Only you can determine what you use to defend yourself. Only you can determine what your money should go to. Only you can determine this, that, or the other thing. The problem is when you actually start explaining the specifics of some libertarianism's tenets, do people get turned off? For example, if you look at the second CNN town hall with Gary Johnson, the guy who asked the question about prostitution and was trying to get Gary Johnson to admit that, yeah, we need to legalize it, and Gary Johnson, of course, took the smart ground and said, hey, Nevada has a good example, but that's more of a states thing to look at, but I'm not going to say yes or no on this matter. Of course, his running mate Bill Weld said it isn't a victimless crime, where Johnson said it really is a victimless crime. And of course, Weld comes from a federal prosecutor perspective, but the thing is, yeah. Anyway, thank you for watching, guys. I'll talk to you next time, and enjoy.